everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Elin and I'm a full-time knitwear designer, and I have been for the past almost 2 years. And if you want to know my current 5 favorite yarns, then stay tuned. First things first, I'm wearing a sweater called Beyond Basic sweater. So this is like my take on a classic traditional sweatshirt. So this is knitted in Isager tweed, held double with their silk mohair. So it creates this very lovely grayish blue fabric. And it's so soft, and it has that, you know, oversized kind of drapey vibe to it. Like I said, it's really basic, but it also has a few details. So it has a neckline that's worked in 2 steps, and then it also has a cross detail at the bottom of the neckline. And it has the same kind of slip stitch detail throughout the sleeve, as well as the side of the body. And it also has the feature of having a double knitted back yoke, so it has like a horizontal panel like this. And I'll make sure to insert some clips for you so you can see it better and more clearly. But yeah, we're here today because I went on Instagram yesterday and asked what kind of video you were eager to see me record next, and the majority of you wanted to see like my top 5 favorite yarns. So that's what we're talking about today. And I've also included like an extra segment about 3 yarns that I really want to try out. So stay tuned for that as well. So yeah, in this video I'll be sharing my top 5 yarn faves. And to make it a bit more challenging and interesting, I challenged myself to pick from like 5 different categories. So the 5 different categories we're talking about and around are: number 1, my favorite yarns for garments to knit for myself, like adult wear and clothing. And then my favorite yarn to use for kids wear, so what I like to use when I knit for my kids. And my favorite plant-based yarn, so like not a wool yarn, but something like a cotton or a linen, like that. And then my favorite silk mohair, my favorite kind of mohair yarn, basically. And then lastly, my favorite sock yarn. So those are the 5 categories I will be talking from. So starting out with my current favorite yarn for garments that I knit for myself. And this is one that has been a favorite for more than a year, because I knitted my first garments in this over a year ago. And that is Knitting for Olive Merino. So this is a thin merino wool. It's not super washed treated, so it still has that raw wool feel, but it's so soft. And I really like that it's so thin, because you get the versatility of being able to make thin garments and also hold it double, or use the thicker version to create more bulky, fuller garments. But I really love to just work one strand of this merino on its own, and that is what I used for some of my favorite garments called thin set. So thin set is a basic sweater, a thin, tight-fitting sweater like this, and it also has the cross detail at the neckline, and it has long sleeves. And then it has the matching skirt, like so. But the thing with this yarn is when you knit it up, it's it doesn't feel as soft and drapey as it gets when you block it, because really the magic happens when you like wet block it and then when you wear it. So with time, I think the garments get even softer and more beautiful. I would say it kind of feels like, a lot of people that touch it think it kind of feels like a really soft cotton. So it has like the lightness of a wool yarn, like it doesn't get as heavy and drapey as a cotton can get, but it has like that true softness. And since it's not super wash treated, it still blooms out beautifully, and it just looks like wool and like fills out all of the stitches, and just, yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'm obsessed with this yarn. And I have a new color that I'm working up right now. This is called jord or soil. And this color is what I'm using for another, I'm making a cardigan and a skirt. So like a new set. This is a bonus yarn recommendation, but I'm holding the Merino double with Knitting for Olive's silk mohair as well. And that's really a beautiful combo, and I would highly recommend it. And they also do this really beautiful yarn combo suggestions on their Instagram, so you can go over there and check out, like, if you hold this color with this color of mohair, this color merino with this color of mohair, you will get this very unique color. And they are going through and doing that for all of their merinos and like silk mohairs. And it's just so fascinating to watch, like how the mohair can transform the shade of the merino so much. So that's really cool, and this is my favorite yarn to use for garments for myself, just because it's so soft and so versatile, and I just love it. And I can't wait to have the new garments done and show them for you. Okay, so next up we're moving into the next category, that's yarn for kids wear. And I actually wanted to recommend a yarn that I'm currently working in, and I haven't worked in this yarn before, and I am sometimes a bit suspicious about drops yarns because they can be a bit hit or miss, I think. But this yarn in particular I think is really nice, and that is Drops Air. So this is a blow yarn, so it has that like knitted tube in like I think they oftentimes knit it in like a plastic yarn, so polyamide is in this one. So they knit the tube and then they blow like the woolen fibers into the tube. So this is with alpaca and wool and polyamide. But yeah, it's just really soft, and both of my kids seem to really like it. And they're really skeptical about the things I knit because they just hate knitted stuff because I'm a knitwear designer. But they really seem to like this yarn. And what I'm working up in it is the unicorn sweater I'm designing. So it looks like this. And the yarn is just so soft, and I think it makes the garment looks really nice and luxurious. And I love like the double folded ribbing in it because it's just so plush and nice. And I'm currently working up a second version. So this is like a revised version of the first sweater draft I made, and then this is like the OG pattern that will help later on. So this is like a heathered beige color, so really nice. And I think the colors for this is also really great. There's a lot of beautiful colors and also a lot of fun colors for kids. It's like very bright colors and stuff. But you know, I really like my neutrals. So let's talk about my favorite plant-based yarn. So this is me trying to steer away from wool and using something like cotton or linen and stuff like that. And I do have one particular yarn quality that I just love to knit garments in, and I knitted a garment in it that I've worn so much, and I'm so eager to make more garments in this yarn. And I actually don't have like a ball of yarn because apparently I knit it all up, but it is Sandnes Mandarin Petit. So it is 100% cotton yarn, and I knitted my tie back top in this yarn, and it looks like this. So this one is knitted in the color khaki, I think it's called. But this is just a, I think it's like a stone washed cotton yarn, because it's just so soft, and it does feel like, it kind of feels like merino, but it's a cotton yarn, and I just love that about it, because it's not, it's kind of, it's both drapey and not too heavy, so it has like a lot of similar qualities to the Knitting for Olive merino yarn, except that this doesn't like bloom up as much. So the stitches are more structured and separated in the finished fabric. I'll make sure to insert some clips of that as well, so you can see the difference in how like the textures, how the textures look. But I just think this is a brilliant yarn. If I'm not a big fan of knitting in cotton yarns, because I think it can be a bit harsh to knit it for your wrists and stuff. But I think this yarn is really like kind to knit in for your wrists, but it's also like forgiving in terms of how the fabric looks and how like the garments feel and wear and all of that. So Sandnes Mandarin Petit is definitely my favorite plant-based yarn. So moving into my favorite mohair yarns, and this is actually a category that I really do enjoy, because I love to use a silk mohair, both like on its own and to knit it double with some other yarn. And I've tried quite a lot, I would say. I've tried the Knitting for Olive, I tried Sandnes, I've tried Vikingarn, I tried Drops, I tried Järbo, a bunch of different silk mohairs. And I do have one favorite that I think it's kind of the most expensive, but it's also the softest and the most beautiful, I think, in my opinion. And that is Isager Mohair. So this is their Isager's silk mohair. So I don't know what to say about it, because I mean, it's a silk mohair, and silk mohair is basically a strand of silk that's like spun with mohair fluff. So you have like this core thread, and then you have the fluff around it. But there's just something magical about this particular mohair that makes it so soft and so like lustrous, because I do think some mohairs can look a bit more dull. I think the cheaper ones are that way, like the Drops, and also I think Sandnes, that they can look a bit more flat. But this has like a real luster to it, and I just love that. So this gray color is actually the one that I used in this sweater I'm wearing. And it just, I think it wears beautifully as well. Like the fluff is really fluffy. And yeah, it's just a great mohair, and this is my fave. And I have this yellow, I have a few balls of this yellow color, and I'm not sure what to knit with it. Maybe I'll do some kind of top. It's really not my color, but I did buy it at some point, so I should make something with it, right? But yeah, favorite mohair. Definitely try it out if you have the opportunity to buy it. It is a bit more expensive, but I do think it's kind of worth it if you're putting all of your effort into a garment and you can afford it. So moving into the last category, and that is my favorite type of sock yarn. And I don't think this will come as a surprise to you. I'm not a big sock knitter, but I did make some slippers recently, and I did use a sock yarn. And that is Järbo Mellanraggi. And I made the Nomad slippers in this yarn. And I just think that this is like a great basic sock yarn that comes in a lot of cool colors. And it's just really nice. I think it's really soft. It knits up beautifully. I suspect that it's a superwash yarn, but I don't think that it does that weird thing with the stitches, that they kind of like look a bit loop-sided. I think that can sometimes be the case with superwash yarns. But I think it knits up beautifully, and it does gets a little bit fluffy, so it like blooms up, and I just really like that about it. And I'm currently making a new version of the Nomad slippers in this colorway, which is called Vintage Rose, I think. And I just think this color is brilliant. And the good thing about Järbo is that they do this yarn quality, so the Mellanraggi, they do it in 2 other qualities or thicknesses. So they have one called Junior Raggi, which is even thinner, and then they have one called Raggi, which is like the original. So this is their thicker sock yarn. So you can make like really thick, nice house socks in this one. And I just think it's a brilliant yarn, and it's what you want when you're making socks, like a nice, durable, soft yarn in cool colors. So yeah, that's my favorite kind of sock yarn. So those were all my favorite yarns. And lastly, I just wanted to speak briefly about the 3 yarns I'm really desperate and eager to try out. So the first yarn that I really want to try out is Isager Trio 2. So this is also like a plant-based yarn, and I'm just looking at my computer to check out, but it's 50% linen and 30% cotton and 20% lyocell or tencel. So it looks like this yarn has quite a lot of sheen to it, and I really want to make a new like summer top very soon, and I think this has the potential to be like the yarn that I want to use. I just need to decide which color that I'm going to get, because some of the yarns are kind of like 2 colors that are twisted together, so like they're like marled, and I'm not sure if that's the look that I want to go for. So I need to like figure out what I want to do, you know. But I'm really intrigued and interested to try this yarn because it seems to have more of a sheen than like, for example, Sandnes Mandarin Petit. And I'll also be interested to hear if you have other suggestions for like yarns that has that more sheen to it, if you know what I mean. So let me know. And the second yarn that I'm really eager to try is Drops Melody. And this is because I've seen Kika work in this yarn, and I've also seen other like yarn or like knitting influencers knit in this yarn, and I've never tried Drops Melody. I think it's like a brushed alpaca, and I think that would be cool to try. I rarely do like these kind of fluffy garments. I think the unicorn sweater is kind of like that because it has the alpaca blow yarn, but this is more of like a really fussy yarn if I'm right. So Drops Melody is definitely a yarn that I want to try. Lastly is a yarn that you would think that I've tried, but I haven't tried, and that is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. And I've felt other people knit in it, but I've never knitted in it for myself. But it just seems like a lovely like summer yarn, and it would be cool to knit in it. But I do know it's really thin, so yeah, I don't know what I would make with it, because I think it creates more of a matte finish for the fabric. So I don't think that is what I want to go with for the summer top that I'm planning. But it would be nice to try Knitting for Olive Pure Silk as well, to just see what the fuss is about, because people seem to love it. But yeah, those are all of the yarns that are my favorites at the moment, and also some of the yarns that I really want to try. But you know, since I'm always on the hunt for new yarns and want to try everything out, I would love to know what your favorite yarns are, and if you have any yarns that you want to try out. So leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite yarns are, and if you have tried any of the yarns that I'm talking about and what you feel about them. Let's chat. It's so much fun to be on YouTube and chat with you guys. It's so cool when you leave comments so we can have a conversation and not just me talking to the camera. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this little chat about yarn, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!